Hey, it's Mark Ferguson with Investor More, and I'm going to answer a lot of questions I get about owning a laundromat in this video. For instance, what do we do with all the quarters we collect? A lot of people have that question. We'll talk about the change machine and profit versus not profit, and I'll also talk about some issues I've had lately with cleaners and people abandoning laundry, which is so weird. All right, so this laundromat has change machines. It doesn't accept credit cards, and so people put dollars in here to get change, and then they put the change in the washers and dryers. Now, a lot of people say, well, this isn't profit, this isn't cash, the money in the machines is profit. And technically you are right. However, I take the cash with me home. So the cash I take out of that change machine, I take home, deposit it in the bank. So that's really my profit, except when we collect too many quarters. So we don't have to go to the bank all the time because those quarters we collect in the machines keep getting recycled into the machines. But over time, I do accumulate more quarters than people take out of the machine. So once in a while, I have to take quarters out and take them to the bank, and we will do that here. So this is my other laundromat, and we also have accumulated a lot of quarters in this laundromat too. So we're going to take quarters from this laundromat and the other one and see how many we have. What else is very weird is people keep abandoning laundry, especially at that small laundromat. Those clothes were in that dryer at least a few days, and there's two batches. The clothes on the right were there at least a week. And so I took them out, left them there, and we will see if anybody comes and gets them or not. So weird. We also have people abandoning clothes at my apartments that have coin-op laundry. And we had someone abandon a load of laundry in the washer for weeks and weeks, and it was never dried. We ended up just throwing it out. And some people said, hey, you should take it to Goodwill. And true, we should. The other load, it was in the washer and never dried, so I don't think Goodwill would want that. But, so I'm grabbing my bag of quarters now, which has gotten pretty full. And what I'll do is I will leave some here to keep filling the change machine, because I empty coins out of the washers and dryers every week. I don't want to take all the quarters because I want to leave some to refill the change machine, like I just said. And then we will take that back to my office. We'll kind of see how much we have, and then we'll take them to the bank and see how much they count. And no, the bank does not charge us to do this. So if you are going to a bank that charges you, look around and see if there are other banks, because I have a few banks I work with. I have different loans, different accounts at. None of them charge me to turn in quarters, but I keep hearing that, how the banks charge, and that is not a problem I have. So the bag on the right is staying here, and the bag on the left is going to the bank. So I've got my bags from the laundromat, but I also collect coins from my coin-op apartments, and that's what all those are. And actually the coins on the right are coins from my liquor store and mini mart, where we have a toy horse and gumball machine, the ones on the right there. So every once in a while I've got to take coins from my coin-op and take them to the bank as well, or just keep them. And this is where I made a huge mistake. I don't know what I was thinking. I took all my quarters and dumped them in this bucket to weigh it. And I'll talk about why I messed that up here in just a second. But those were the laundromat quarters, so it's about half full. I really should have weighed each bag before I knew to. Those are my apartment quarters right there. And more quarters. Where did I get all these quarters from? I don't know. But then I also had more coin-op apartments, one I hadn't checked in a while, and both my bank bags were completely full almost. So we had a full bucket of quarters. And what mistake I made was, that weighs well over 100 pounds, and when one, my scale I have doesn't go that high on the right there, and two, if I pick up that bucket, it's going to break the handle and possibly break the entire bucket. So what I end up doing is taking all of those quarters back out and putting them in bags again. But obviously, if I would have just measured the bags to start with, I'd know how much came from the laundromats and the apartments, and give a little better idea of what I'm doing. But I'm a little haphazard sometimes in the way I do things. Now we can weigh these, so I have a coin counter too. I didn't use my coin counter this time. but we can weigh these to get an idea of how much money there is in them. 10 pounds of quarters is $200, to give you an idea of how much weight is. So I had 22 pounds, 25 pounds, 22 pounds, 27 pounds right here, I believe. No, 36 pounds right there. I had a 27 pounder in there as well. So my total for all my quarters was 132 pounds. And if we divide that by 10 and multiply it by 200, we get $2,640 by the weight version. Now the little bags weigh a little bit, so I just rounded down on all my pounds. Now this is how you give it to the bank. So I have one bank that will take it, but it's kind of a pain, and you have to deposit it, and a lot of times there's people there. I have another smaller bank, but there's almost never people there, and this is their change counter. This takes forever. So that is not me doing it. I pawned this job off to someone else in my office, and I think they said it took them 45 minutes to count all of these quarters. So luckily, we don't have to do this very often. Maybe every 3 months or so, we go to the bank and do it. In this bank, you don't even have to have 2668 is what we got. So really, really close. But you don't even have to have an account there. You can take your quarters in and they'll just write you a check. Maybe even give you cash for whatever it is. They just exchange it. So that's how many quarters we brought in. Again, I think about 300 to 400 were for one apartment. Probably about 600 to 700 for other apartments. So maybe 1,500 or so came from the laundromats. Now I also went to a laundromat, my laundromat, not a laundromat this week, because I keep having complaints about cleanliness, and I have my cameras, and I looked at my cameras, and the cleaners are supposed to be there 4 times a week. Never supposed to go more than a day without cleaning. Well, on my cameras, it showed them there Thursday, and they still hadn't been there by Sunday. I was like, this is not acceptable. I asked them what's going on. Like, oh yeah, we got busy. And then I go there, and half the lint traps are clean, and half are dirt. They didn't even empty the lint traps. They had just been there the night before. And I asked them, I sent them a picture. I'm like, hey, did you do all the lint traps? They're like, no, we couldn't get to all of them. Sorry. I'm like, are you so... Unfortunately, we are in the market for some new cleaners now. The good news is there's about 12 people who want to clean this laundromat. It is one of the most popular jobs ever. And people do keep parking in my lot, so whenever I'm there, I try and... The DMV is next door, so whenever I'm there, I try and tell them, hey, please don't park here, because people literally think the laundromat is packed and busy when it's not. Now, here's another issue. I'm like, okay, I'll clean the lint traps, I'll get this going. Well, my shop vac is barely working, and I'm like, what is going on? And then I open it up, and it's all the way full. So I'm pretty sure the cleaners are using my shop vac, which is fine, they can, but they're not emptying it. The other issue I had there was I heard some noise outside, and I opened my door, and my door is literally, right by this little room. There's a lady sleeping out there. Now, there's even a security guard for this area, this complex, and I went out there and talked to him. I'm like, hey, look back there. He went back there. Tried twice to get her to leave. She wouldn't do it. So we ended up calling the cops. Cops came. She left. I'm like, hey, can we trespass her? And they're like, well, if she comes back again, we'll trespass her. Then she'll go to jail if she comes back. So, yeah, that's the door. She was sleeping right outside. Now, more good news. This is Monday after a weekend. Tons of quarters are gone. So that's always good to see. I love doing this. This was one of my favorite parts of the week, is checking to see how many quarters are gone after the weekend and taking cash out and seeing how much I can drop all over the floor, which is what I did here. But there ended up being almost a record. Yep, there we go. If money wasn't dirty enough, it gets even dirtier when you dump it all over the floor. And people keep saying you should get a GoPro and wear it around your chest. I do have one, and I have tried that, and it's just a pain, and the straps are annoying, and it takes time to get it set up. So even having dropped money once every 2 or 3 months is worth it to me, as opposed to wearing that GoPro. I also take change out of the front machines because they get too full if I wait a week. So on Mondays I go in and empty these guys so they don't get too full. If they get too full, they jam up and stop working, and we don't want that happening to our very best machines, that is for sure. So overall, not a bad time at the laundromat. It's been fun, I love it, but the whole cleaning thing is probably the most annoying thing, and hopefully we can find a new person who will do a much better job. I need to talk to them, text them, ask them, figure out fees and pay, all that, and then break the news to the other cleaners and go from there. And there's the police talking to the lady, and like I said, once the police showed up, then she left really quick, but she wouldn't talk, wouldn't even respond to the security guard, and I didn't feel like messing with it. So I was there anyway. My second dealing with police in 2 days because we had the break-in at the other commercial place, so it's been an exciting time. And the cash machine is always fun to count. So this is just from the weekend cash. Like I said, this is the cash I take home every week from the weekend, and then on Fridays again we collect cash too. So in general, there's usually $1,200 to $1,600 in cash a week we take out. And then, like I said, every couple of months we take out more quarters too and deposit those in the bank. So there was $966 here, almost a record. Our record is 1,003. So hopefully this will be a really good week as well. We've been having really good weeks at this laundromat. The smaller one had a bad week last week. Hopefully we have a really good week there this week.